Think about the last time you consciously thought about taking a breath. Chances are you didn't. Your body just does it, about 20,000 times a day. But what if right now the entire human race just stopped breathing? Not because we're choking, but because our lungs completely shut down. If this happened in our current biological state, the clock starts ticking instantly. And let me tell you, it is a brutal countdown. Within just 10 seconds, your brain depletes its residual oxygen. See, your brain is a massive energy hog. It consumes about 20% of your body's total oxygen supply, despite making up only 2% of your weight. Without it, the brain's electrical grid goes dark. You'd pass out cold before you could even tweet about what was happening. By minute 1, cells across your body begin to panic. Without oxygen, they can't perform aerobic respiration. They switch to an emergency backup plan called anaerobic metabolism, producing lactic acid. But this is a terrible short-term fix. It's like trying to run a Tesla on AAA batteries. By minute 3, permanent brain damage begins. Neurons starved of energy start to rupture and die. Your heart, which is also a muscle starved of oxygen, begins to flutter erratically before stopping entirely. So, if the prompt is, what if humans didn't breathe right now? The answer is simple. Total extinction in less than 10 minutes. But that's a boring video. Let's change the rules. What if humans were designed to live without breathing? What if our biology evolved so that we never needed to take a single breath? That is where things get truly wild.
To eliminate breathing, we have to solve the ultimate biological puzzle. How do we get energy? Breathing isn't just about inhaling oxygen. It's about using that oxygen to break down glucose into ATP, the literal fuel cells of life. If we don't breathe, we need a completely new way to power our bodies. Option 1. We become photosynthetic. What if we had green skin packed with chloroplasts, just like plants? It sounds cool, but there's a massive math problem. Humans are warm-blooded and incredibly active. A tree can survive on photosynthesis because it doesn't walk around, think about philosophy, or edit YouTube videos. To get enough energy from the sun without breathing, a human would need a surface area roughly the size of a tennis court. Imagine walking around with massive leafy skin sails just to survive a trip to the grocery store. So let's look at option 2. Direct fusion or electric biology. Instead of lungs, imagine humans evolved with a built-in bio-battery or a synthetic organ that directly converts nutrients into ATP via internal chemical reactions, completely independent of atmospheric gases. Or perhaps we absorb ambient radiation or electricity. Without the need for a massive respiratory system, your internal anatomy changes drastically. Your chest cavity doesn't need to expand, so your rib cage becomes a solid, unbreakable shield. Your lungs disappear entirely, leaving a massive empty space. What fills it? Maybe a second heart, or an advanced digestive and filtration system to process our new energy sources. And think about your face. No nose, no nasal cavities. Your face becomes a sleek, solid shield, focused entirely on sight, hearing, and eating. But losing our breath doesn't just change how we look, it completely shatters the world we've built.
If humans didn't need to breathe, our relationship with Earth would be turned upside down. Let's start with the most obvious playground, the ocean. Right now, the deep ocean is more mysterious to us than the surface of Mars, mostly because we can't survive there without heavy, pressurized metal tubes. But non-breathing humans, the ocean becomes our second home. Without lungs, you don't have to worry about the bends or decompression sickness, which is caused by nitrogen gas forming bubbles in your blood when pressure changes. You could determine dive to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, assuming your skin and bones could handle the intense, crushing mechanical pressure. We would build expansive, sprawling underwater cities, farming the seabed and exploring trenches like we walk through city parks. But back on land, society would sound radically different. Literally. How do you talk? Vocal cords work by passing exhaled air from your lungs through the larynx to create vibrations. No breath means no air pushing through your throat. No speaking, no whispering, no singing. A non-breathing humanity would be a silent one.
We would communicate entirely through complex sign languages, facial expressions, or perhaps we would have evolved a completely different organ, like crickets rubbing their legs together, or cuttlefish flashing vibrant colors on their skin to express thoughts. Music would shift from wind instruments and vocals to purely percussive, electronic, and string-based art forms. Opera would disappear, replaced by mind-bending visual performances. And the global economy? Total chaos. The multi-billion-dollar scuba industry, oxygen therapy, asthma medications, and air filtration systems gone overnight. But that's nothing compared to what happens when we look up at the stars.
Space, the final frontier, and currently the deadliest place for a human being because it is a total vacuum. But if you don't need to breathe, space travel becomes infinitely easier. One of the heaviest, most complicated components of any spacecraft or space station is the life support system. Keeping air breathable, scrubbing out carbon dioxide, and storing massive tanks of pressurized oxygen takes up a huge amount of weight and fuel. Without the need for oxygen, spacecraft could be sleeker, lighter, and much cheaper to launch. We wouldn't need pressurized spacesuits to keep us breathing. Now, to be clear, you'd still need a suit to protect you from extreme cosmic radiation and the freezing cold of the cosmic vacuum, plus your blood would boil if your body wasn't under some form of atmospheric pressure. But the terrifying fear of running out of air? Completely eradicated. Colonizing Mars or the Moon wouldn't require terraforming an entire planet's atmosphere. We wouldn't care if an alien world had a toxic atmosphere full of methane or sulfuric acid, because our lungs wouldn't be there to inhale it. As long as the planet had the raw materials to power our internal bio-batteries, we could live there. We would become the ultimate cosmic colonizers. So what's the takeaway from this thought experiment? Breathing is our greatest vulnerability. It ties us to Earth's thin, fragile atmosphere. It keeps us tethered to the surface, limiting how deep we can dive and how far we can travel into the cosmos. But that vulnerability is also what makes us uniquely human. Our breath is tied to our emotions. We gasp in fear, sigh in relief, and catch our breath when we see something beautiful. It's the invisible thread connecting us to every other living thing on this planet. So next time you take a deep, clear breath, appreciate it. Subscribe to help me breathe easier.